What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at Data Dash, and today is June 4th of 2019. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a great day wherever you are, and in today's video, we're really going to be focusing on two key topics. In cryptocurrency markets, we had a pretty sharp sell-off over the last 24 to 48 hours, so we're going to be discussing that and taking away what we can learn from it, as well as going through a few different headlines, and last but not least as well, for the second major point, we're going to be focusing in on a lot of compounding events coming in on equity markets, leading stocks down even lower and continuing the downtrend we've been talking about for some time. So we've got lots to discuss throughout the video, and it's coming up right after our quick sponsor. Our sponsor for this episode is Perpetual Assets. Perpetual Assets is the country's first cryptocurrency and precious metals bullion dealer. They also specialize in retirement accounts, allowing clients to purchase crypto, metals, and many other assets with a retirement account. However, crypto and metals in an IRA is what most clients use it for. So if you have an existing retirement account or wish to start a new one and would like to have the option of having crypto in it, check out their LLC IRA solution. You totally control the retirement account, including where the private keys are held, and although they sell crypto, you don't have to buy it from them. Visit the link down below for more information. All right, everyone, so let's go ahead and take a quick look through cryptocurrency markets. Taking a look over the last 24 hours, we can see that there are a few exceptions that are onto the upside, some of these being some stable coins, some of the few exceptions are altcoins as well, but for the most part, cryptocurrency markets are sharply down over the last few hours following Bitcoin. And the interesting thing is that if we actually can find Bitcoin here on the list, I think I scroll past it, we can see that there are some altcoins that are actually performing better than Bitcoin. And again, as we start to take a look at market dominance, we can see that market dominance for Bitcoin is still looking to be on its downtrend. But as we talked about on the channel over the last few daily updates, and I'll reemphasize when we take a look at price in just a moment, we were talking about a correction possibly coming through, guys. We were talking about the wedge building up, and then if we were to push towards that, I remember I got back from the gym last night. I was sitting there watching and eating dinner, and I'm like, that thing looks like it's about to break. But again, I tried to do a live stream as quick as I could. I had to get that set up, and we did one, kind of talked it through. But a lot of the things that we were watching over the last few days were the simple signs you needed to see when that breakdown was going to come, when we got a huge sell-side candle of volume. And we'll take a look at it in just a moment. I'm not here to say I was right on everything. I was definitely not expecting price would push up as high as it has back about a month or two ago. But anyways, we can see valuations from the peak here when we reached up to 9,100 just a few days ago was sitting around $280 billion, and now we're sitting around $255 billion. So nice little decent reduction. And as Bitcoin has declined, altcoins for the most part have actually held quite steady. A lot of the gains being held in Ethereum and XRP, other coins continuing to retrace a lot of these losses from when we last peaked back here at around 23.4%. Now we're back to 20%. So good to see altcoins are getting some dominance back. Now let's go ahead, take a look here at the chart. So I emphasize this in the live stream, and I know not all of you will get to watch the live stream. Some of you just prefer to watch the daily updates, completely understandable. And if you do watch all the daily updates and you prefer the daily updates, give it a like and potentially subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't. But in all seriousness, I want to talk about really the two things I used to kind of solidify the other day that, okay, we're in the reversal pattern now. Actually, I'll say sorry. There's about three things, and I kind of use them in combination. So the first thing here that I noticed is that we had a parabolic uptrend line. This is not a standard uptrend line that's very steady, consistent, has nice corrections back and forth. No, this was a parabolic uptrend line. And the expectations with the parabolic uptrend line is that, hey, I'm going to be able to make more and more money as it goes, but it's going to get more and more difficult for this uptrend to continue at the pace that it's at, right? Parabolic is not, nice, straight, and consistent. It's rapid, and it gets bigger and faster as we go throughout time. Price needs to move quicker. And along with that as well, you want to see a correlation in volume as well. This is going to be the second thing we talk about. And you want to see charting patterns that match with this uptrend, that give us a sign that, we're going to have very short retracements and then continue breakthroughs. Some common ones that you want to look for are wedges, plain wedges in this case, where price coils in, or a bull flag, something of that sort, or maybe a cup and handle formulation, something like that. Well, on all three of those things, it wasn't looking too good. We broke past the parabolic line in the middle part of yesterday. We were building an ascending wedge that was pretty clear here over the last few weeks. And the third point here, without even using the RSI here, not even using any crazy indicators, we're just simply using price and volume. All of the major sell-off days since back here in mid-May outweighed the buying days. You can just see. anytime there'd be a buy candle like this, there was either equal matching sell side action, if not more. And price started to go flat. I mean, outside of excluding the wixes where price was at for a short period of time, if you look at the open and close, you can see that unlike the trend here, we were having multiple days of green, a few days of red, and continuing that trend, we started having more days of red price action, right? And or an equal amount. So this shows you that the momentum was dying. We didn't have the matching volume. When you start to get to higher price ranges, you want to see, even though, yes, the volume technically is being measured in Bitcoin, so you're trading at a higher price, which means that there is a little bit maybe more capital than if, for example, this candle over here and this candle over here had equal Bitcoin volume. It would mean that more capital is trading here, but you want to see an increase in Bitcoin volume. It's the same thing you saw during the uptrend as well for Bitcoin. We can take a look back historically at the uptrend for Bitcoin, and we can see that there's actually it's taking a second to load the chart here. I don't know why. Yeah, there we go. So you can see here, general increase in volume here as we started to go over time towards this parabolic run up, even at higher prices. So that's a major point that I really want to drive home, guys. Those are really the three things that I use to get quite confident. Now, do I know if we're going to 6K yet, guys? I know people love to debate price and things like that. I have no idea if it's going to reach 6K. I would love for it to do that. And with the volume that we're getting, if this continues to build up, we're already outpacing yesterday's volume here early on in the day for June 4th. I'd have no doubt that if we can't get past, if we take a look at the 5-minute here, if we can't get past 8,000, which we are pushing quite close to, if we can't get past this kind of resistance level here around the $8,000 range and really start moving up with some serious volume, I'm not talking like 100 something Bitcoin, in a very short period of time. I want to see like 1,000 Bitcoin kind of candle in this case. And maybe, just maybe, we could possibly move higher. And again, this doesn't look like a bad formation. It looks like we could start to recover, but I'm really betting on this going back down to 6K. I hate to say it, guys, it just honestly feels that when you have these kind of almost near 3x run-ups from the lows, when we went down from like around 3,100 upwards towards the lower $9,000 range, you're going to get about a 30-40% retracement, in my opinion. That's what you see in Bitcoin historically. It's what you see in a lot of markets as well that move in that kind of nature. In fact, you usually see sharper corrections in other markets. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and take a look at a few more altcoins here. Go ahead and take a look at Ethereum on the daily. A lot of these altcoins were very close to potentially having breakouts, but this to me now looks like it's rolling over. I don't like this formation. It was, as we talked about in the live stream, some of these altcoins were looking to build ascending triangles, bull flags, very bullish kind of trends. And this to me looks very wonky, messed up. The volumes kind of died off, which is good. I mean, you don't want to we're not getting any serious sell side volume outside of here on May 30th, but I think all cryptos sold pretty heavily on that day. There's just no serious trend here, right? It's good to see that Ethereum's up, but I don't have any confirmation here that says, yes, I can feel comfortable this is going to 300 and beyond, right? Litecoin, probably one of the most overextended out of the large caps, probably needs to see a retracement down to somewhere around like $80, and this would only take us back down to early May. I think, at a minimum, you need a 33% correction from the highs here at 120. And I think, I'm going to call it quits after we'll take a look at XRP. We looked at Bcash the other day. I don't really feel a need to look at it. XRP, yet again, having another rollover and fake out on a potential breakout. Now, it did do well here in the sense of US dollars. Back here during the early part of May, but again, it's not set to take off just yet. We'll take a look at the longer term trend sometime soon on the Binance pair, so we have more price action to work with. This is recently listed on GDAX, but there's no serious trend just as of yet. We haven't really broken out of the parabolic, the negative parabolic line and stuff that's been holding down prices resistance over the last few years, really over the past year, in that case, past few months. All right, so we'll go ahead. One thing that I've had some people asking me about, and then I really want to dive into the news, is a lot of people have asked me about like kind of the Binance IEOs, Harmony, for example. Guys, I'm not touching a lot of these Binance IEOs. We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what how the market reacts with these cryptocurrencies. But I don't really have any fair way to value. I think it's pure speculation and really depends on what kind of market makers they have and stuff like that. So just wanted to point that out there. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the news here. So the world's major banks across the world, from European to American to, I think they even had some banks in a variety of other countries like Asia, or countries in Asia, investing basically in a new digital token for utility exchange, or basically very similar to what we've seen before, the JP Morgan coin, right? So this new digital token has received $63 million of investment from a variety of these banks. I mean, take a look at some of these names, guys. Barclays from Europe, Credit Suisse, UBS, MUFG. I mean, these are massive financial institutions across the world coming together to build the USC, the Utility Settlement Coin. Now, I don't really need to do too much deep diving into the article. As you can see, they've got banks from the US, from Asia, and Europe, 14 major banks all partnering together to invest and build out this project to basically make money wires between different countries and cross-border payments cheaper. Now, in the Wall Street Journal, they reported notes that the UBS token in this case will function as a payment device as well as a messenger that carries all the information required to complete a trade. So this is going to have all your KYC information, things of that sort. And as we go through this kind of concept of digital token, we know about this stuff. Like I said, we've seen this with JP Morgan coin. As with JP Morgan coin, the banking institutions in this case seem to want to use this internally amongst themselves. Very similar to the JP Morgan coin in the sense that it's not going to be available for you and I, and it's not going to, quote unquote, feel like a cryptocurrency. Now, we know the infamous Jamie Dimon has talked about how though the coin is internal at the moment, it could become commercial. It could be something that we actually have in our own wallets one day. But the fact of the matter is that even though if they push this, guys, if there is one day where you can have a JP Morgan coin, if you can have, this utility settlement coin, I can tell you all, it's not a cryptocurrency. I can say it confidently. And it's not just because, the evil banking system, this and that. A cryptocurrency can act as digital cash, all right? Like a digital piece of cash in the sense that when I make an exchange with someone or someone sends me Bitcoin, I know there is finality in that sense that this is my Bitcoin. All right, I didn't have to trust a third party or trust that the third party is going to continue to defend that, yes, this is Nick's money and isn't going to freeze my account, things of that sort. That to me sounds like a digital accounting system when I can basically have a few authority figures who control that system, change what almost, if you want to visualize it, is an Excel spreadsheet, a glorified Excel spreadsheet, and basically can change my values, can freeze my account, and stop me from doing business and storing wealth the way that I want to. That's not a cryptocurrency. That's not peer-to-peer digital money at the end of the day. So I'm sorry for rambling, but had to get that out there. I think you guys have probably heard me talk about it once or twice. Now, something for a little bit of laughs. I swear, man, it gets crazier and crazier with this guy. Justin Sun has paid the $4.6 million bid on Warren Buffett's annual lunch meeting, which he basically does an auction for. You have to pay, the highest bidder and basically sit down and have a lunch with him. So Justin Sun has spent probably more money than I'm going to make in the next decade in a lunch meeting with Warren Buffett. Now, the whole thing as to why Justin's doing this and why Warren does this, let's get around that first. Warren does this as a charity event. He's not asking, pay me the highest bid to eat lunch with me, and then, he's going to take all the money. He's obviously got plenty of money, so this is a charity thing, and I think it goes to I'm trying to think of the name of the organization. I wish I could find it. I know it helps like homeless individuals in San Francisco. The Glide Foundation, that's what it is. But basically, people pay for this bid and everything, and try to basically have lunch with Warren Buffett. And the reason Justin's doing this, as we can read throughout the article, is that he wants to actually try to convince Warren Buffett of the the value of cryptocurrency. As we all know, Warren has been quite a skeptic of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But I have to say, guys, no heartfelt feelings, I guess, towards Justin, because I've never met Justin before. But I really don't feel he would be best to sit down and talk with him. And it's I guess, then again, I don't have $4.6 million to say otherwise. But I can tell you all, I really feel Justin would probably not be the best person to speak to him on. I'm not a big fan of the Tron project, just personally. But then again, I might not know what Justin's going to say to him, and who knows, maybe he's got something valuable to say. I would say it would be much smarter to pitch to Warren that rather than trying to pitch the whole kind of protocol aspect, which Warren Buffett's not going to get, that's exactly what Tron's focusing on. What would be much smarter to pitch to someone like Warren Buffett is that this is a new age of currency. This is a new age of store valuing currency in this case. And that this isn't a producing asset in the sense that Warren Buffett was like, this isn't a farm that I can see produce a certain yield every year. No, that this is a hedging asset. This is something very similar to gold, that this is something very similar to a new currency network that doesn't have a nationality. It's non-correlated. It has a limited finite supply, which makes it a great store of value. And as a distributed, decentralized, censorship-resistant payment network. There's a lot of value there for that. So I think if you really spent the time to break all those, mumbo-jumbo lingo terms that probably seem way too overwhelming for Warren Buffett because he's just not very tech-savvy, I think he'd actually get it, and I think he'd actually have some appreciation for it. If still at that point he doesn't get it, or he still remains negative on it, you can probably guess that Warren Buffett, who, trust me, is not a perfect individual, just like any other person who's been around Wall Street long enough, he's probably got some negative incentives against cryptocurrency with his current investments and wealth that he's got. Got to protect the moat. That's the strategy of Warren Buffett. Alrighty, going into stocks, as we've been kind of rambling or alluding to here with Warren Buffett, stocks are up around 0.7% here on all three major U.S. indices, with small caps actually performing quite nicely. This is coming from the pretty dramatic sell-off we had yesterday. We've had a combination of things kicking into markets, guys, and it led stocks to dropping quite heavily yesterday. However, we have recovered a decent amount here on the NASDAQ Composite. So what led to the sell-off yesterday, this really big red sell-side candle with a lot of daily downward price action from the open to the close? Well, it was a few different things. First off, Apple had a relatively disappointing yearly meeting in this case. As you all know, they have the developer meetup where they show what's coming up in the Apple ecosystem, what to start kind of preparing for, their product lineup. And they basically brought out, from what I could see, is a removal of iTunes, splitting it up into 3 different applications. They are bringing a new Mac Pro, a new desktop computer, and it's going to cost at a starting price, I think, around like $6,000. I mean, it's not for everyone. It's I would say institutional, or like a developer or kind of creative type computer where you need a lot of computer powering. But boy, man, is it overpriced. You can literally make a Windows rig for like probably 1/3 the cost, and I'm probably being very gracious there. You could probably be much more conservative and get it down to like 1,200 to 1,500. Anyways, Apple's renowned for doing that, and you know that there's going to be people who buy it. The second thing that really weighed down markets was the fact that there was an antitrust file yesterday from basically on some of the major tech companies, from Facebook to Google. And this eroded from the open to the close $137 billion of valuation from these tech companies, as well as other following stocks in the FANG basket, if you include, not Facebook, Amazon and Netflix in this case, as well as Apple. So again, huge deduction here from some of the major tech companies from this simple report. Now, the thing about this that's significant is that unlike, traditional kind of acquisitions that, we need to break up the tech companies, this and that, this actual filing may lead to serious regulatory scrutiny in this case, due to the fact of where it's come from. If something actually goes through on this, there can actually be serious, substantial changes to these tech companies. We could see a breakup of these companies. I think, honestly, is it likely we're going to see it anytime this year? No, I don't think so. Stuff like this takes a long time. I really recommend people going back and studying, the breakup of Standard Oil, companies of that sort that had grown to monstrous size, and then seeing the fragmentation of it as regulators started to break up these companies and the underlying assets and technologies and patents. But interestingly enough, we will know that if you do study the Standard Oil breakup, that it actually made John D. Rockefeller, who was the major stakeholder in the company, even richer when they broke up all the companies. So as much as I do hate monopolies or companies that almost seem monopolistic in nature because they're just so entrenched in our lives and they own so many of the services in our day-to-day lives, I'm curious if this is actually going to do anything to help us at the end of the day. Who knows? I know a lot of people talking about breaking up tech companies. I'll say more than anything, we need protection of free speech. We need to, if we're going to have the U.S. have some authority over our lives in some way, shape, or form, they, as the government should do in the sense of limited government, it should protect our right to speech on platforms that have really become, the town square of where discussions are happening. So I think that's one thing that tech companies need to be responsible for. In the sense of breaking up Amazon and Google because they're major companies, I'll be honest, I think the tech will do it for us. We'll take a look at Brave, guys, and the Brave browser. If you guys haven't started using it, that's what I'm using right now. It probably looks like Chrome to a lot of people. Use it. And if you guys wouldn't mind, you can use the referral link down below and the description. And if you guys want, if you generate some BAT from your viewing of ads, you guys can always support the channel. I do appreciate it. It's people like you that help me do this long term and full time. Alrighty, enough shilling of the channel. that being said, those are really the two major things outside of the fact that we've had the Fed, again, not make any changes to monetary policy. Again, a lot of things coming in at a time when we really don't need it, right? We don't need anything negative weighing down this market, but it's all coming in at the same time. And yesterday, it looks like I think today we'll probably roll back down and close on a lot of these these gains and stuff that we made and we gapped up this morning. I think honestly you're going to close back below here, and then the sell side's really going to start picking up. I've given this sell side a little bit more time because we are looking for a little bit of a lower range than the previous lows. But again, it doesn't matter. We might see the majority of the sell side come in much quicker. And if things compound enough fear comes in at once, you can bet the algos are going to start selling like crazy because there's not enough serious buy-side support. There's not the stock buybacks. Corporate profits are depleting over the last few quarters, and that means that dividends, stock buybacks, the things that used to prop up this market are not going to be there. We didn't have it back here. The only thing we had here to hold this up was the $64 billion pension readjustment into equities. We're not going to get that this time. We've done all of the little soft things we can do to keep up equity markets. What's going to be next? The only thing the Fed can do is severely cut rates and, reverse its monetary policy. We aren't going to hear anything about that for another, I think, almost 2 weeks. So we'll have to see. I don't know, guys. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And what do you all think about the things we discussed today? I'd love to know down in the comments down below from all the craziness in crypto. What would you say if you got to sit down with the Warren Buffett for lunch? I would have a lot of things I'd talk to him about, but I'll keep that to myself. That being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned.